Hey, I'm Shellico.
I'm Phoenix.
And we're SF in Bloom.
And we're all about democratizing gardening.
And normalizing planting native wildflowers.
I've lived in San Francisco since 2003, and I'm a landscape contractor and certified permaculturalist.
I've lived in San Francisco for 15 years, 5 months, and 1 day. And I run a creative studio.
On our first date, we were planting plants in people's yards.
Our first date was like a walk. So SF in Bloom initially kicked off like 8 years ago when we were like, hey, let's go and document the blooms of San Francisco. Something always seems like it's in bloom. So let's go document it, show what's the common name, what's the scientific name, and tell a little bit about the plant.
We started with just a few posts of stuff that we thought was cool and interesting, and it just kind of exploded. Like right away, I did a post on the Dawn Redwood tree in the middle of the botanical gardens in San Francisco, and then Shalako did one on his DIY Super Bloom, and we saw such an amazing response, and all of TikTok showed up at our door. Tree talk and plant talk and all of these things that we didn't know existed, and we're like, whoa, what's this, right? And that's how it started.
Then we kicked off SF in Bloom as a place to share our knowledge and passion about plants. And that's when it really took off. I think it's a convergence of a lot of things. Mm-hmm. You have vertical video and social media is like taking off, so you have new platforms to reach people. You had people who were stuck inside, focusing on their home space and like needing self-care through plants. And then on top of that, you have climate change, wanting people to make a difference but feeling overwhelmed as to how. And I think we really resonate with people because we found a simple, fun way that anyone can do it with a little bit of research, and kids can go out and do it. So I think it's convergence of many things and not just a single reason, but all of those kind of coming together, and then it pops. All of our inboxes, there's somebody from like all over the world. We just posted a video that like is at like 250,000 views right now and climbing, and tons of people asking how to do it there too. So then you're like, well, wait a second, there's not just all these plants I've planted here, but now, you know, the postmaster is saying I want to set up my mail carriers with it in like Pennsylvania, or people are doing it other ways. So you're like, now imagine all of those flowers.
We're not the first people to do this. That said, we have inspired a lot of people to do this. And there's probably someone out planting seeds somewhere around the world right now that was inspired by us.
This woman told me that in her beliefs, your soul is like, and your karma is like how many plants you've planted. And I just can sometimes, it's just, I feel like I can feel like all of those plants and all of those people who are inspired. I feel like I can feel that and like channel it. You do encounter people who are like critical, but I try and focus on where the connection and commonality is, because we have so much divisive and decisiveness and so many things that pit each other against each other. Plants are really a place where people can connect, and I try and see where they're coming from.
Our large goal is to democratize gardening, and that's to bring gardening to everyone. It doesn't matter your plant knowledge, the amount of time you have, the amount of money you have, if you rent, if you just have a dark, cold house, right, nowhere to plant. There's always ways to bring plants into your life, and we want to show people how to do that. It's really the seed sowing that has gotten a lot of attention, but we're much more than that. We really want to show people and enable them to have plants no matter what, no matter their plant knowledge, their financial situation, whatever.
So how does that tie in with these larger issues? It's something called plant equity. There's a website, and they will show you can look up what your rating is. They'll rate by like how much trees or accessibility to nature you have. They demonstrate that way too often disparities in plants and access to nature fall along lines of income and ethnicity. So, you know, we think that plants should be and nature should be accessible to everyone, and so, you know, bringing awareness is sort of step one. And then how do we, how do we change that, on an individual level? Can businesses have an impact? Can the community have an impact? Can the government have an impact? We're telling the story in a way that's really conducive to the modern audience, And that is giving it a space for that in the comments or whatever, for people to have these conversations or show their friend and then talk about it and talk about these different important factors and educate each other and, you know, share like their experiences of doing it too. So that's like the online presence. And then we'll then be connected to, you know, someone from the Parks Alliance. We'll like connect with them, and then they'll connect us to like a community gardening group.
Yep.
And then we'll go visit them, and then we can go and share their story and help them connect with more members of the community. And so that's how it's been, you know, manifesting.
We're going to really be taking it to the next level and bringing these people together with programs that already exist. And then we are also offering educational curriculums. So we were just teaching a group of brownies in Napa Valley how to sow seeds.
And so I think what we're doing is we're focusing on inspiring people to be passionate about conservation, about making a positive intent to nature. And a lot of traditional gardening, landscaping, it's about making a design that's aesthetically pleasing and useful for people. And we're bucking that trend and making things that are beneficial for the larger community, and not just like for humans, but for like biodiversity, to support, you know, the insects, the pollinators. That, you know, also has its selfish motives in that it helps us with food security. It helps us maintain biodiversity, which provides strength and is like actually important for our health too.
And it can also be still beautiful to us.
Yeah.
You can do both.
Right.